So we kind of leaned into making sure that people feel a good time, even when they're hearing technical stuff, to let it feel fun. When they're learning about science, let that be a fun experience. First...
Você sabe, a escala de tornado não é baseada no tamanho ou na velocidade do vento.
Oh, hi Isaac, how are you?
Hey Rafa, hey, nice to talk to you. Doing well.
It's so good to be here talking to you. Congratulations on Twisters. I have to say that Minari is absolutely amazing, such a beautiful movie, and you did an extraordinary job with Twisters.
Thank you so much. That's very wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Oh, and Twisters is your follow-up to Minari. What was your pitch to convince the studio that you were the right person for this project?
I remember I approached that pitch in 3 ways. I had my take on what I felt these characters were all about, the human beings in the story, and what I wanted to do in the story to tell their stories and relationships. And then I talked about the themes that I see in the movie, and I felt like those themes were very personal to me as somebody who grew up in that area, who loved nature, who felt like, I wrestle with a lot of the same stuff that those characters are wrestling with. And then finally, I was kind of pitching on a technical level what I wanted to do with this movie, to do action and to create energy and suspense and all of those things. And I knew I needed to lean into that stuff because people hadn't seen me directing action before. Fortunately, I had been doing some stuff with Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy, and Kathleen had served as a great reference to Frank Marshall, her husband, who was producing Twisters, and was able to share some of the stuff I was doing on that side of making Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew. So it was all 3 of those elements that I was really pitching.
And as you mentioned, you grew up in Oklahoma's tornado belt. How did that impact your vision for this project?
I'm sure you know, where you grow up, it just infuses everything about your own perspective on life. And as I was growing up, I always felt like I needed to run away from where I was from, because it felt like it's a place in the middle of nowhere. Real life was somewhere in the cities, all those things. And now as I'm getting older, I'm really realizing there's so much beauty in the way that I grew up and in that perspective. And I wanted to lean into that with this film. So there's a lot of stuff with the way I'm showing nature, storms, even the music that I'm highlighting in the movie, that really come from a space of me wanting to remember things and honor things and be back in touch with how I was formed as a human.
I just loved your answer because I resonate with that so much. I had the same feeling of like trying to run away from where I was from. But it's so important what you said of how that impact us as artists, as writers, in my case, as a journalist and film critic. I love that. And one thing that it was so so fascinating to me about this movie is that we have this action-packed movie, amazing. I love the cinematography. It's so breathtaking, but at the same time, this movie is very scientific and very entertaining. Tell me how you and Mark F. Smith managed to balance all of these elements in a way that us audience would have fun watching this movie, but at the same time, we would leave the theater with an important message.
Yeah. I think Mark and I always saw it from the beginning that was a superpower for us, that we could tell a story about science, about the real world, and about ordinary people, and to do it in a way that is an adventure. So we kind of leaned into making sure that people feel a good time, even when they're hearing technical stuff, to let it feel fun. When they're learning about science, let that be a fun experience. The first Twister, it motivated and inspired a lot of people to go into the sciences. So we knew with this film we had a wonderful opportunity to try to do the same, and that was kind of how we approached it. It all started from that love of what we were able to do.
Amazing. And Twister, the 90s Twister, is a very beloved classic here in Brazil. People have like a very core memory related to that movie. So I'm pretty sure that Twisters is going to be like a huge hit in Brazil. So thank you so much. It was such a huge pleasure, Isaac.
Thank you very much. I hope people in Brazil love it. Thank you for this.